Hello and welcome to another Wilderness Tamed gardening video. In this one we're looking at moss again, but how it can actually come in a bit useful in a wildlife sense. Does it affect the garden in any way? Benefits, pros and cons of moss. That could be the title of the video. Anyway, roll credits. So moss in a lawn situation is often considered a bit of a nightmare, and once you've scarified the moss out, in most lawns there's very little left, as you can see from this rather threadbare patch here. The reason the grass is so thin here is, unfortunately, the garden is a bit of a toilet for dogs, one of which is female, so bitch urine will kill grass off. Now I can't use this moss because, unbeknownst to me, whilst I've been away travelling Europe, see previous video, one of those quarterly lawn maintenance companies has been round and scattered some granules, which are probably a spring feed and a moss killer. So they are poisoning the moss in February, and what's going to happen in a few weeks' time? Birds are going to be gathering moss in order to line their nests, and the result of using this moss is it could possibly kill the adult birds as they're collecting it in their beaks, or kill the chicks as they're growing up in or hatching into a poison-filled lined nest. So I always kind of go for, obviously, a more organic approach and tend to prefer just to rake out the moss physically, either with a springbok rake or a machine, and bag it up. And if it hasn't been treated, as this has, then you can leave it at one side and hopefully animals and birds will make use of it for nesting. But in the case of this stuff, it's got to be taken away to a composting facility, or disposed of some other way. Bit unfortunate that. And I'm not sure on a lawn that's constantly being weed on by dogs that this is actually going to have any impact at all. In contrast, in a border situation that hasn't had any chemicals applied to it at all, this surface moss that's growing on the soil, which is very easy to remove, just comes away, takes up a very thin layer of soil, also helps expose the weeds. That stuff can be left in a pile somewhere in the corner of the garden for the birds to pick through and use as nesting, or you can just top up something like a log pile or a dead hedge that you're using for habitat for amphibians, reptiles and small mammals and invertebrates. That would be a good way to top it off, give it a bit of a thatch and insulate it and protect it from the worst of the elements. We do have a little log pile in this garden, secreted away beneath some shrubs, so I might add this to that. So you can see, just lightly raking, I'm doing this one-handed, will take off quite a lot of that surface moss from the border. To get it out of a lawn, you'd need to be a bit more vigorous. I wouldn't be able to do that with just one hand. But it clears up quite well. Box it up in a trug and away we go, and add it to either just a pile somewhere or top off, as I say, top off a habitat pile. But we got some of that, so there's still access into that. I haven't completely covered it, so things can still get in and out of there, but that just adds a little bit extra insulation to the heap. So we're still in the cool months. It's the 15th of February 2023, and although it's a nice calm day today, I'm sure we're still in for a few harsher winter conditions. So there you go, a bit of shameless product promotion. No, I mean, there you go, things to do with moss. Quite a brief video, but people obsess about moss and getting rid of it. I've got to be honest, you're fighting a losing battle. As with most things, nature will win. You turn your back for 5 minutes or drop your guard and she's back in there filling gaps like bare soil with weeds and covering your lawn in moss. So rather than waste a lot of time, effort and money trying to get rid of things that occur naturally and don't really do any harm as such, just ease off, let it happen. Don't become too obsessed with trying to control things. In a lot of ways, to make gardening easier, and wildlife-friendly gardening is much easier. Just going to adjust my hands there. Than sort of going formal and all the rest of it. It does take a lot less management and just reduces your physical workload and the time that you spend working in the garden, because let's be honest, it's much more pleasant to just come and chill and relax in the garden. He says spending all his time gardening but that's for other people so that they can chill and relax in their gardens. I've got this the wrong way around, haven't I? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Happy gardening.